to Cottman Crawford and the Jersey Guy podcast. How is everyone tonight?
All right.
We're good.
All
Yes,
right,
man.
man.
Shut up. Right. That's funny.
Yo, I'm just going to jump right into it. I know all of us, we're geeks when it comes to certain things.
Yeah.
But I know for me, if I'm sitting around watching TV and I see the Discovery Channel or Science, whatever it is,
Right.
and something pops up about the Sea Scrolls, I'm immediately zoned in. You know, they definitely caught my interest because I want to know the how far back does that go and what does it mean and where did it start and who started it and why it is where it is now.
So you like learning biblical history, right?
Biblical history,
or learning
just history.
or even better, I would say, the truth finding. Because
it's supposed to be the most accurate.
That's what we could talk. You know, we're going to get into that.
Now I know that we don't talk about, and I know this was this came up. We'll just say it briefly. Yes, we don't talk about certain things, religion,
this
politics.
Pertains to an episode,
but this pertains to a totally different subject. This is the birth of it, how it started, who the people were, how they lived, things like that, and what they saw and how they saw it. And then we could always go.
Yeah,
into
we're going to end up.
So that being said. It's going to be Dead Sea Scrolls.
This is about religious history.
Yeah, kind of thing.
So,
because
this is a good subject, man.
So the Dead Sea Scrolls, like you said, that's supposed to be the original writings, you know, and
most accurate.
So that now that's where we, you know, of course, I go that way to UFOs. If it was the really aliens that wrote that stuff, because a lot of the, like you were telling us before, Lou, that we'll get to later on, like angels coming down. You know, to make for the war part you were talking about.
Well, the Nephilims.
Right. So then
we'll get to that later. Yeah,
right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we're going to get to that later. But I'm saying, but like all those things are things that we've heard what
there were some things in this that I'd never heard.
No. I'm saying like, you know, things like that about, you know, having when people talk about like the angels coming down and doing things like that and making the new army.
We could jump right into the whole that idea.
Well, we're going to go to that later, but I'm saying, but that's like what the Egyptians and a lot of the old, I say everybody that wherever that there's a pyramid, that they said it was aliens that had come down and bred with the women and, you know, like giants and stuff like that. So, so we'll start from the beginning, right, Lou?
Yeah, no, listen.
And then, start from the beginning because I want to get to that other stuff too.
Yeah, that stuff is interesting. So
I love that stuff.
They were discovered in 1947 and through 1956 near a Dead Sea, of course. Mm-hmm. I think it's Qumran Coves. Over 900 scrolls were found.
That's insane.
Biblical and, I'm sorry?
Yeah, Bible texts.
And
I don't know, you wrote that.
I know, I'm sorry, my bad. But the cord was in the way.
Yeah.
Excuse me, guys.
Yeah.
Sect rules. So this is where you start to see different things that happen in religions.
Right.
Okay. Apocryphal, that's another one. So each one, Discovery, 1947. What was the scrolls? Biblical manuscripts. But not included were Enoch, Jubilee, Tobit. There were other Bibles that weren't included.
Right.
So, you know, back then, these were also held for a while because people didn't want to talk about them. They would find certain things in there, and people were like, well, that's not that because this is what we've been talking about all, you know.
Yeah. Well, just all the things as a whole, because so many things. So if we are
it's the original, look, it validates accuracy of the Hebrew Bible. Right? So the people who wrote this kept records of all this stuff.
Right. I'm saying that now people, and like you said, how things have changed. You know, how people, I guess we'll say, interpret them.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's why there's now so many different sets. You know what I mean?
So there would definitely be some controversy in who thinks it's right or what they actually meant and all that. I'm sure that's going on as we speak.
Oh, definitely. But that's why we haven't heard about all of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just in what has been found, you know, and this is me watching TV, you know, not what you had found here for us, but that is just so many people, you know, they're like, wait, no, like Lou just said, you know, is that really? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would think that probably if it was what we think it was, could have been. I'm sure we're going to get to that subject, but you have to remember that man in its time probably they weren't that. I mean, they were definitely good carpenters and things like that, but they didn't have the technology than what we have now. And I'm sure they did things that amaze us now that they did that we had no clue you can do.
Yeah,
right. Sure. Yeah, because the carbon fiber, like you said, in the paper and things like that, now it's more accurate.
Oh, the carbon
dating, the carbon dating stuff.
Yeah, the carbon dating.
Yeah. So
well, now they have AI involved now, so they think that AI thinks that it's older than what they originally thought.
Yeah.
So twice what it was.
Yeah, because right now,
so that's how old the parchment, the paper was from that time.
Because every time they find something new, and they're matter of fact, like I watched this TV show, or I haven't watched it in a while, Oak Island. And on Oak Island, they keep finding things as they're digging around in there.
But they can't find the treasure though, bro.
Well, no, I'm not even talking about in the money pit. I'm talking like just on the island and different things that happen on the island. They're discovering the people that were there before who we thought was there.
Right.
You know, like it was official, like the Vikings were there first. The Knights Templar were, there's proof that they were there. And they're predating what has already been written. So instead of them being there in, 1701, they were really there in 1501.
Right. They were earlier.
Right. So then now
based on what they found. And
so doing, like I said, these Dead Sea Scrolls.
That's why I love watching that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm geek when it comes to that.
Oh, they're definitely doing the carbon dating.
Yeah. And for what it is now, it's still, I've never heard until we started doing some other stuff. When they do the dating is CBC, something like that. CBC.
BC, right? We had before Christ.
And
after death, AD.
And there was one that was before that. Yeah. There was another one that's before that.
I think it was.
BCE or EC.
Right.
And I didn't even CE. And dude, if these go back further than what we've all thought.
Think of how man was back then. I'm not saying that they were stupid.
No, that there was man. They didn't think that there was man. It was like, now they're starting to say that people walked with dinosaurs.
We're only talking a few thousand years, not thousands of years.
I mean.
We're only talking like 3,000-4,000. Well, it might double. Like, let's say let's say they were 2,000, so now they're originally 4,000. We're not talking like end of centuries onto it or anything like that.
Well, I know.
But still, that they went that far back and they were able to find that itself. And
I know the theory is like, that Homo sapien is like 25,000 years old.
Right.
And then you start going back towards the, earlier like man.
Right. And that's the thing. So then that timeline might be wrong too.
Neanderthal.
Right. Yeah. That timeline might be off.
We could be way off on that. We could be, but at the same time, we probably could be right on shit too at the same time when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And you know what's wild is how the scrolls survived that long in the caves. Out by the Dead Sea.
The what?
The scrolls.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like how
they were found by accident.
No, but
how did they not,
the paper didn't just disintegrate. You know what I mean?
I know some of them
They had a lot of those that were like that. That were like that, but they had a lot that they were able to piece back together.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So,
imagine doing that kind of work. Being with
that long.
Tedious little brushes and magnifying glass, right?
Yeah, no, that's that person that really loves doing.
That's super geekish right there, man. No doubt.
I can't do that.
But I like those people because you know what? They're good.
Oh yeah, I appreciate.
They give me all the information that I'm interested in knowing about. I'm like, thank you.
That is great.
And I think they can probably. I mean, people might not trust it, but like AI to fill in the blanks, and some of them now they could probably get. Because some of them have like holes in them and they can't piece them together. Like there's missing it's like, something like you'd see in like a movie or like.
There was one in the movie.
Wait, what was it?
Blade.
Blade.
Yeah, Blade.
That's right.
Frost wanted to bring back the Mughal
or whatever.
And so that then he turned around and they had put these texts up there and he's looking there, putting the AI pieced it together. And then he knew what to do and it was freaking bugged out. But I was with you.
Yeah, but that seriously that they have issues with those because there's there's because of damage that there's like not full scrolls.
Yes, and that's why I bug out because it's now them putting it together that a lot of the stuff that people believe is not true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just all changed up. I'm sorry.
No, I want to apologize because I was wrong what I said earlier. Silver fragments previously believed from the 2nd and 1st century BCE are now dated earlier, sometimes by several decades or even a century.
Yeah, okay.
So I take it back.
Yeah, so it was more than I thought too, though.
I don't know why I thought that.
Well, because, I mean, you just it again, for what we know of the time, what we believed, what the timeline was.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
Going way back and whatnot, it's a given.
We fixed it. We got the information out.
Yes.
And I know there are people that love this stuff, man.
Yeah, of course.
Definitely.
You know,
we love this.
Just
stuff.
to go back
this
and
just fun.
I think in my past life, I might have been
Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to be the librarian?
Oh, yeah.
I like the librarian. That's a good one.
I don't know exactly that. But...
Right. So now they're saying, too, who wrote the scrolls? So most scholars believe they were written by or belong to the essence of apocalyptic Jewish sect that lived commonly in Qumran. Others suggest a mix of sources, including priests, scribes, and Zodikite exiles. You know, so again, that's what then you got the rest of us who thinks that, you know, it could have been, I said, I'll go to the aliens, you know what I mean? Extraterrestrials that came down and were trying to teach people here, the humans that were here, how to live, how to exist, how to grow their own stuff, you know? And I only say that because think of all these things that they found, you know, out there by the Dead Sea or just, you know, other places. We were talking about even like the pyramids and stuff. There's pyramids around the whole world. On the whole planet, there are pyramids in like every continent just about. And who taught those people to build them? They basically built identical. You know, little differences because of where they are, but, you know. Right. So again, you know, I said the Dead Sea Scrolls, something else that I just came to my head. Sorry, guys. So they're saying that there was civilization, and around the time where Krakatoa blew, that's when everything changed. Like civilization that basically stopped because they were stuck in the dark, and then they came back around. You know what I mean? So I wonder if going with that thing, because it said, sorry, it just popped up. That was my history geek moment. But, you know, if that's what it was, that then the Dead Sea Scrolls predate Krakatoa. Right. You know what I'm saying? Blowing up or, you know, whatever. And civilization started all over, you know, which is maybe why, like you then said, you know, if it was only 1,000 years or 2,000 years.
I thought it was like 3,000-4,000, but I was, but now when I think about it.
But still that long, I mean, bro, that's a lot of time for people to come back around, I think.
But still, you know, it's a long time, man.
Yeah.
To go that far back to history, you know, and if this is what they were doing.
Yep.
They find their teeth and they bury them with all this, you know, everything is different, you know, when they find certain things and how they were buried and how they were wrapped. It's crazy.
Just the beliefs as a whole, I think is wild, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know. I think for me personally, you know, I like to think about how life would be different for us.
It would be so harder then. You wouldn't want to live then.
Well, yeah, we didn't want to. We didn't want to live when there's still cowboys and Indians.
Yeah, I'm saying right, but that was hard. That had to be hard times living like that back in that day. And I'm sure, but for them it was every day, so it didn't matter, right? I guess same for us.
Yeah.
You know,
oh yeah, definitely.
That was their thing, but still, I don't think we would want to go.
Oh no way, no.
And find out. Yeah, I'm all right. Thank you.
If I can go in like invisible just to watch and see, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, I'll go do that, but I'm not going to actually
Exactly.
No way, man. No way, no how. So the Copper Scrolls, that's
one that they say there's all this treasure that it lists all the treasure there is, but they still haven't found it, and they've looked for it. They still haven't found it.
And they looked for it where they found the scroll?
No, in that scroll.
Oh, in that scroll. Oh.
That's a copper scroll. It was carved in copper.
Ooh.
Onto that. So the copper was the pages.
Oh, that's groovy.
Yeah. And that's what was on there. You know, and it lists all this treasure, but they, no luck, they have not found any.
I'll bet money that they're looking in the wrong spot.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too. So where the Dead Seas, well, see, I wish I would have paid attention or looked to where it was, because now you think about way back when, how the land masses were, earthquakes, you know, the plates moving on the planet and whatnot. If the Dead Sea Scrolls was part of something else, you know, another body of water, another valley or something, that's why they can't find it, because things have moved around. Make sense?
No, they were in caves. They were
no.
Caves.
They're talking about, you said looking for the treasure. That they can't find the treasure.
The treasure, yeah.
You know what I mean? So
right, and with the treasure, it'll probably be the same thing, right? They just stumble across it. Somebody who wasn't looking for it would find it.
Yep.
That's probably what would happen.
Yeah, because...
Or they may find it too, because they found a lot of stuff just by
Yeah, because I mean, like, look.
Now what they have.
So in 1947 is when they first discovered it. So they find this.
Through 1956, and they found over 900 scrolls.
I'm saying, so it was in that time, from 47 to 56.
Right, and all that time they were studying,
and looking and finding it. But my question is,
but it's taken them a while to
by the time they actually
put them together
found it.
and
no. But when
they were held, a lot of stuff was held back too.
Yeah, of course.
They were just starting and released more in the 90s,
right? Because it was changing what religion was, right? In a sense,
because everybody thinks one thing, and then when you look at that, you go, okay. But then, of course,
I think
doesn't really matter.
We could talk about something like how, like, isn't there one that says like, turn a stone, there I am, or something?
Right, split a piece of wood and you'll find me.
Yeah.
That's a quote from John Baptist. I think. I could be wrong.
But was it in the Dead Sea Scrolls? Wasn't that in the Dead Sea Scrolls?
It may have been. They also mention Jesus in it, but they don't mention him by name.
Right.
So that was
as being persecuted.
Meaning, like, you don't need church. That's basically like, so like, no wonder why that's not in there. I'm not sure. We can get a little.
Yeah, no, we could.
But there's a lot of stuff that comes from, because that was mainly Jewish. And then, of course, it broke off and then it went its own directions, and like everything else, right?
Right.
And then that's what they're finding out when they look at this stuff, how it grew and branched off. And
that's why
Catholicism came.
That's why I always
I should say Christian, not Catholicism. Christian.
Well, that's why I always thought the religion, was it Masonic Jews? The ones that Jews for Jesus?
Jews for Jesus.
Right.
But like, that's always an interesting religion because they follow all the traditional Jewish practices, but in a sense they're Christian, but not what people think. Like, they're Jewish, but they're technically the most Christian of Christians because they follow the same... Like, so it is kind of weird how it just like branched off into like,
exactly.
That's they just like, we'll get rid of all the Jewish traditions and we're going to have new traditions. I wonder what made them say we're going to stop these ones and continue these ones. But but the Masonic Jews do it all. I don't think they do any of the Christian. Maybe they do celebrate some of the Christian.
I don't know. They probably celebrate Christmas.
Do they get both? That's double holidays.
Oh, wow. Double whammy right there.
Yeah.
They probably say only one or the other.
No. It's like having divorced parents.
It's like, we believe. Yeah.
That's
double holidays.
Get 2 birthdays.
It's Passover and Easter if they don't fall across each. Because sometimes they crisscross. But sometimes they're like a week apart.
Close enough. It's all good. Close enough. That's funny as hell. See. That was,
right.
But no, you're right, bro.
It's a lot of feasting. Double.
But that's...
You get a Seder dinner and an Easter dinner?
Right.
That's great. That is freaking hilarious. Right. But you said dinner, you made me think. But
check it out.
How easy... Oh, go ahead.
I just found this about the copper scroll. Unlike any other scroll, the engraved on copper lists hidden treasures, 64 underground hiding places with vast amounts of gold and silver and scrolls. Despite many efforts, no treasure has ever been found, fueling conspiracy theories and Indiana Jones style hunts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So people are like, we're going to find this shit.
Right. Well, like I said, that goes back to what I was saying about Oak Island. That's where you had to have that one. Put the hat on.
We could do it.
But that's what happened on Oak Island. They're there looking for a treasure that they read in a book. And when they get there to find it, they're finding all kind of different kind of treasure. It's not about the money. It's about now changing history.
Well, basically, you're finding out what they believed and how they lived.
Right. And now, so finding these Dead Sea Scrolls, I think that's why they don't release everything in one shot.
They released a lot so far.
But I think they're just giving it out slowly. Because do you know, bro, the shock, that's a culture shock.
Well, I think... I would guess. Not really. I mean, for those who are super religious and into it that much, and you know what I mean, I would guess. But I think at the same time, they probably push back on it anyway. But that's a whole other story.
Right. People will push back on it because I don't believe that. That's not what it was.
Of course they're going to. And that's fine.
But because they're stuck on it. But if this is what they read, anyone with that to me,
like I said,
how do I believe the person that's reading it?
Right.
How do I believe that?
Well, these were people who actually just wrote what they were recording history. Right.
No,
they weren't
the people that are translating it right now.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
You're hoping that they're reading correctly.
That they can decipher it. Not because they're trying to change how people are, whatever.
No.
But because they mistook a symbol for another symbol. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, listen, I'm sure they they found those mistakes and done that before.
I hope so.
Wait, maybe it was this one.
Maybe it's not. Yeah, maybe it's not the end of the world.
The writing was totally different then. I mean, think about how they wrote in the ink and how they had to do it.
Yep. Yeah.
Parchment paper, I believe it was.
Yeah. Yep. How they did that.
That's right.
That it was wild. That was
what we understand. They did it on
papyrus.
Yeah, papyrus. Yes, just like the store.
That's a big word. Papyrus.
Yes.
Papyrus.
But,
hey, papyrus.
Hey, how you doing?
Yo, how you doing? No, wow, that's it. Sorry, didn't mean to offend anybody.
This is so way.
But you know what? That's when I was asking, how did they know to write on this stuff that it was going to last? 100 gazillion years.
They hid it. They hid it, hoping
well.
that maybe they were hiding it so nobody would find it.
So what was around it? Because I didn't even see too.
The kid went in there, looked for his goat.
Right. But I'm saying no, but they haven't. I wonder if they've excavated around.
No, it's hard to get to. They're caves. You can't just walk right over and walk in them.
What if there was a building? That's what I'm saying.
No, you have to climb up into it. It looks like there was water there, like it was part of that.
Right. So then now
they have to go climb down from over and then get in.
So the scrolls being where they were, what was around there? What was on top? Were there buildings or houses that were before the cliff, before you had to climb down?
No, I think that's where they stored stuff.
Them in there.
I think that's what they did.
If there was actually land there, and that was the basement of a church.
No, I think they were looking to hide them.
Whole thing,
like the treasure, obviously. But they put them, and they. That's interesting stuff, though. When they find it and they come across it, they weren't looking for it. They didn't know about it, or maybe they were looking for it and they didn't know where to look. And then this kid comes along, and boom,
I found
900 of them.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
I love it because as soon as that comes on, I'm watching it.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yep.
But here's the question. Why were they put where they were put?
That's what I'm
saying.
To save.
Bro. So hopefully maybe they were. Maybe somebody would find them and know, hey, this is what the real deal is and not what you thought it was. Or this is where it came from.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Or it was that somebody was coming in to stop them from preaching, from saying that stuff or letting them know that's the truth.
What do you mean? I don't understand.
So he's talking about how did the Dead Sea Scrolls get into that cave?
There was people recording that history.
Right. So then why did they put it there kind of quote unquote hidden?
I guess that was their way of keeping it safe and
like a time capsule?
Almost, I guess.
Or maybe the person who knew where it was died or something happened
But it wasn't when there was more than one cave. If they found that one, obviously they found more.
Well, like maybe there was a keeper of the secret.
A scroll keeper.
Who knows? Yes. That's what's so interesting about it. It could be anything, really. When you think of that time,
or maybe
it's like...
And maybe something happened and...
You had no hot water. You had no toilet. You didn't have any of that.
Like there might have been like a whole organization that was like keeping that stuff safe and preserved.
I don't know. Interesting.
Something happened, maybe... some kind of catastrophe, like it could be just an environmental,
like some crazy library,
or like a volcano, or maybe it was the people on Pompeii all knew where it was. That was like secret keeping.
That's one thing I'm just saying, bro. Because they.
Oh wait, or was that before?
This is supposed to be before. So that's what I'm saying.
Oh, so that was before Pompeii. Yeah,
this is before, right? So the Dead Sea Scrolls, and when they were written, was before, I believe, because if I read it right, then it's before Krakatoa blew. I'm saying before Pompeii was gone. That's what I'm saying. So then, and now they're starting to find, well, not now, I'm talking about the last 10 years or so, they've been finding the bodies on Pompeii.
How messed up would that be? Like the keeper of the Dead Sea.
Well, they've been around, right?
Or
like Kenny, they've been dug out for a long time.
But they've been digging out like more. Like,
Out,
that's what I meant. I didn't mean just the people now. Yeah, my fault. I didn't mean it like that.
Well, no, I didn't. Right. I'm not saying that. What I meant was that, that's been around for a long time. So then you can go there and see that.
And go see that now. So now, crazy. In that same thought, that's what how the Dead Sea Scrolls ended up in the cave, like out of the way. They heard the big boom.
I don't think they were near with these guys. Well, maybe they were. I don't know.
Supposedly that when Krakatoa blew, it covered the earth.
Right.
In cloud, because it hit so hard, it blew up the way that it blew up. I mean, not hit. So it blew up like that. And
so about the volcano or?
Yeah, the volcano.
Okay.
Yeah. So then that could be
true.
Yeah,
maybe.
Who knows? Heard that in,
but they didn't record it in the book.
Because they ran inside.
No, I think they're just caves where they kept the scrolls. That's where they hid them.
Oh, I thought you said that they didn't write about it. I was like, yeah, because they were hiding.
No, they were hiding.
They were hiding from the volcano.
But I'm saying if they did, I'm sure that would have been in there. I mean, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, I'm sure too.
Maybe not.
Not you say so, but again, now we got to wait for that to for that episode to come out. You know what I mean?
Well, what about the War Scroll that they talk about?
Now that one you started to tell me about.
right? The War Scroll details an apocalyptic battle between forces of good and evil, sons of light and evil, sons of darkness. The militaristic visionary, some see it the ancient version of Revelation.
Sounds so mystical.
Because that's
sounds like I see knights in fight and armor and.
Well, I mean, there was a couple of movies like that, and you think about if that's going to be the epic fight when they show old paintings, of when they were talking about that they see, people in the sky, the gods fighting. Right. That they think might have been aliens, you look at all that stuff. The top of the Sistine Chapel, not 16, 15.
The Sistine. Yes. The Sistine. Yes.
That, it's all the angels up there and, that they're in and around the clouds and such. What a lot of these people saw and what they had in their drawings.
Right.
Somebody may have seen it. This is me on my UFO stuff. That these things could have been written.
Well, it would be around the same time of Egyptians, of course.
I'm
the same time period.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
So,
it's the same time period. All that's happening around Egyptians, Romans, people, whatever period they were in that time, they were around those, So, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. You have the pyramids being made, the Jews were building it. Moses.
And
that's all in there, too.
And that's why I'm saying, man, I wonder, it's just, I think I can't believe how it was that, these things were hidden for so long.
Yeah.
They pop up now and it's...
Well, they haven't popped now, 1947.
Well, not literally, I mean, figuratively, it says 47. So in the last, 80 years, you know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
That,
got a lot of information from
so much information. Yeah. You know what I mean? So many things that are like, whoa, okay, now that makes sense. Right. Whoa, now I see what it meant, what they, may have said in the Egyptian or the, Aztec carvings and stuff like that, But what else you said? You saw?
No, I'm just saying it was, I think for that time.
I wonder what would happen if that stuff was found found now in the age of social media where it's almost it's hard to hide news and stuff you know what I mean, where people just record stuff on TikTok
so
or
there've been a
Instagram.
bunch of funnies on social media
where
the AI is doing if they're Moses just turned around, yo, look what he's doing. He split the water, whatever, and the people are walking by.
But what I'm saying is imagine if that stuff was found now, I feel like it would be harder to hide. You know
definitely.
What I mean? They'd be we're putting this together now. We're not waiting, 20, 30
you know what?
years.
I would say to you that the people that would find it and they would quote unquote hide it, they wouldn't let them show the scroll open. You could see it start to open and then, they won't let you see the rest. Now you got to pan up here and look at them. This way you can't.
They took very good, the way they were wrapped and everything. They really tried to make sure that they lasted. For that time, they did pretty long.
That's crazy, bro. Yeah. That is probably the craziest.
But it's so cool how how that happened.
Yeah.
Nobody was in the right place, and then they found them, and then they found all these scrolls and everything, and different information.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
I'm still wondering, who are the keepers of these scrolls? It has to be lost information that happened somehow because. It's just we're going to bury and forget about him. Who? No. Someone had to know about him.
But that's why
or the people who did know about him, something happened to them.
That's why I'm saying I'll put money on that.
The missing scrolls. That's what you're talking about.
Right. The missing
They got it here, man.
So I'll bug out and say that where the scrolls were found in the cave was actually the basement of whatever building structure, whatever that was on top.
There were no buildings there,
and you're not listening. You're not listening. I'm saying that because of where it was, and Tom is saying that that nobody's found it, it just happened to be or whatever, that I'm saying there was structure around it at one time, not when they found the scrolls. At one time,
maybe at one time there was a big building.
It was a building on top of it.
I don't know.
The building is now gone.
Probably looked like something from Batman Begins.
Yeah, some craziness. I'll go with that.
The League of Shadows on the mountain.
Just some kind of craziness that was there. Some monument.
Right away.
Aliens and comics. Because
we're geeks.
Yeah, I know. I love it. It's awesome. It's great, man.
But
I don't know. That's a good idea.
Only because, like you said, it was found on the shores of the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea is now, it is a big hole. So whether meteor hit it, whether there was that alien fight that I like to just say that it was, that there was this super explosion. So that then if there were buildings that were there, there's already a town there. What was there before, Yeah. If something had that building that was there, again, we didn't, look all this up like that. But it's just, I don't know. I said, that's where my head goes, that kind of stuff. Only because of how many things that have been found that are, as they dig, like all this sand has covered in Egypt. It has covered the, all that, all the housing that was there.
Everything.
Villages and
cities, everything.
You go to Easter Island and the heads are buried up to their, just the head up to their chin. And then as they start to dig and look, it's a full body.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. I love it.
It's like,
that's good stuff.
Shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and why did they make them? And what's the the meaning behind it? And who do they, are they homage? Somebody.
Right. It was supposed to be paying homage
to someone saying, hey, this is, or to a god.
But because of the way that they're standing, they're looking up to the sky. Right. Because of the way that their faces are. So that's why I'm saying,
when they try to figure it out.
These Dead Sea Scrolls, I want to say, because that's just me, that they are, from another kind of a civilization.
Well, of course they were. They were from super early.
Yeah.
Where they, all that stuff and all that belief was coming in, and where you first you're getting the roots of where it came and first started.
Yeah.
And how it began, which is great.
Yeah.
And then it just splintered off and went into those different directions through the years.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, man. What about, so the missing scrolls, some believe important scrolls were hidden or suppressed by religious or governmental institutions like the Vatican or Israel authorities.
Yes.
Conspiracy theories surged due to the slow publication process. Many scrolls were made public until the 1990s. So that's when they kind of started letting them out and people see. And now they're in certain museums. I know they're in museums in Israel for sure. I'm sure there may even be some here in New York or somewhere else in the United States where you could see them.
Oh,
for
really?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Might have to look into that.
That would be cool to see.
Yeah, definitely.
It is cool when you see them with your own two eyes. When you see something
it's so
like that,
and you're like, somebody wrote on this
a
long time ago.
Yeah.
In a little galaxy, far. Sorry.
You know what I mean? That's literally what it is. But like, when you say it, you're like, oh, an artifact. But like, when you see it, it's
nice.
Well, that's like when you go to the museum. You know what I'm saying? And you see all those things, that they dug up. They sat there with the paintbrush.
Like when I
think it's instinctive too for us to want to know it because we want to see where we came from and how we evolved at the same time, how we've grown. And some areas we haven't, and we're still working on it, but we have come a long way in some things.
What's creepy though is like in Italy, when you go to Italy, the old churches, like the ones that are like old churches, like the big giant ones from like the medieval days. They have relics in them. They have like the one relic is they had like a head of a virgin, head of a virgin. I'm thinking, wait a minute,
story was.
I think we're on the wrong religion here.
I was thinking Virgin Mary, saint, but no, saint. Saint. I'm getting my words confused.
I got you.
It was a female saint, but they had her like head, like preserved, mummified head, like
then.
Wow.
There in like this section of the church because the churches are shaped like crosses. So
yes.
When you walk in, so it's off to one of the side things.
Right. I've seen that where they build them like that. They were built like that.
But like they have relics. Like it's so creepy. Like just the head.
There's
like,
so much.
They
history. There's so much.
But it's so weird. They piece out the saints like in pieces. Like another saint, another church got like the hand. It's like,
that's sad, bro. Dude.
Okay, so we're giving out body parts now, all right?
Yeah. No, I'm good.
For our appreciation, we want to share our new.
But you know what? Though? That's kind of where like there's an overlap. I think of like I'm getting a little off topic, but I just want to say real quick that it like paganism like overlaps with like.
Well, I'm sure this
big religions. Like they probably believe that like the saint gives the church like a special blessing.
Right.
It has a mystical, has a, a protective power.
Right.
I think what's interesting is that each one of those things, whether it's people who lived in Israel, in Egypt, and all those areas of the world, and you get this information, but you have all these other cultures too, that you get their history at the same time period. What was going on with them? What were they doing? Which is really to see what other civilizations do. So like you brought up, Vikings and all that. I mean, that's
paganism.
Paganism.
Yeah.
You know, that's just paganism was absolutely where
like
a lot of this came from. Too.
But I mean, like a lot of they believe in energies, and you know, like the same thing they believe.
They believed in the earth.
So if these relics are believed to have special energies, you know, to bless the church, you know what I mean? So, but that's just so they piece them out, which I don't, you know, don't forget when they did that, it was the medieval times,
right? It was, the mindset then was a lot way. That's what I'm saying.
People,
think of the mindset then. Think of
they
us
had
now,
the Spanish Inquisition,
the Inquisition, the Inquisition.
I knew you guys were going to go to that. That was just like hook, line, and sinker.
Oh yeah,
but no, but like you know, they were doing a lot of a lot of. Church was doing a lot of weird stuff with that.
Listen, religion in general.
You can't hide that. That was
I think the thing
happening.
that I'm fascinated about is not really. I mean, I'm fascinated by that stuff too.
You know, having pieces of
the birth, where it came from, why it became the way it did, how the interesting part of how people found it on their own to. What was it that got them going to do what they started and then continue it on? You know what I mean? That's interesting. It's very interesting.
We'll get people to live. You know, and it sucks to say it like that, but get people to be good to one another. That's a better way of putting it. You know, for there to be kindness. And, you know, this is the writings that they had originally. You know what I mean? This is how to be kind to somebody. Right. This is how you should be. And this is what they tried to, you know, preach or practice.
Right.
And, you know, people believe that it should be a little bit different how we do it. And, you know, that's where the different sects come from, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and, you know, we definitely come a long way as far as that is concerned. When it comes to that, I mean, but sometimes I wonder. That's a whole other podcast.
The who?
Conspiracy theories.
Yes.
Who wrote the scrolls? Most scholars believe they were written by or belonged to the Essenes, apocalyptic Jewish sect that lived communally at Qumran. Others suggest a mix of sources, including priests, scribes, and Zodiacites. Zodiacites. That's an interesting word.
Yeah.
Or two words, I should say. But yeah. So again, these are things I've never heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're just used to what we know. And then when we find out wait a minute, yeah, because it needed to come from somewhere else in order for it to be what it is now.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like everything else in life.
Yeah.
It matures and it takes off and it goes in its own direction.
Yeah.
Hopefully for the best.
Yes.
Of course. Yep. But I find this stuff very interesting. I always do when I see it on the telly. I want to watch it because I'm a geek and I like that stuff.
Well, I don't even know. I think this is, I don't know. We're going to call history buff a geek. I don't know.
Why not? I don't care.
This guy. I'm just saying because I'm kind of a history buff too.
You know,
a little bit of that stuff. I like all that, you know?
Yeah, all that stuff is good.
It's just awesome, you know, to find these, to hear about them, to be able to read them and hear what they are. And, you know, like I said, again, I think they only let out a little at a time. So this way people don't, you know, the masses.
But they're letting it out. So that's a good part.
Yeah, definitely. You know, how everybody's thinking is it
just shows you, okay, wait a minute. We got this.
Yeah.
Not that it was wrong, but it was made. Because things changed. It was like a telephone, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
It started here, and then it just went
translation.
Mm-hmm. Right, translation
all over the place.
Changed up. Mm-hmm.
Right,
I'll go with that.
It took a life of its own and went in different directions, and then this is where we're at.
In the Bible, at the end, I forget what it is.
The end, actually.
What where it says what the end of the times and stuff where it says I'll see you at the end of time or whatever, or he'll be back at the end of time, and that's supposed to be like the end of the world. But the scholars now believe that was wrong, because if you translate it to Aeon, which Aeon is a specific set of time, so the return will be in like 2,500 years or over 2,000 years.
Wow, it's a long time to wait, not for nothing.
Right.
I mean, I don't know why that'd be so
kind of
long.
like now, though.
Do it. Yeah. Now would be a good time.
But anyway.
Because again,
but not the end of the world. It's
right.
And
they would just come back.
Get it? Right. A specific set of time.
Yeah. Because, I mean, think about it. You know, it's 2,000 years for us. isn't the same as 2,000 years when people go off the when they go off planet. Because remember that was one thing that we were talking about. That when you go off planet and you're going into space, people here grow old.
Right.
You don't when you're out in space.
If you're going to travel the speed of light, you will definitely be younger when you come back.
Right. So now
they'll be super old. Though. They already are.
So I'm going to throw it back into that UFO shit. That if it was like that when that 2,000 years for us, 2,500 years for us, isn't the same for somebody traveling through space.
Oh,
yeah, I went there again. Just saying. Love that shit. I love it. Yeah, well, yeah, listen. And all day Twilight Zone, baby. All day Twilight Zone, you know?
Absolutely.
What was the name? There was that movie that they had that portal and they were able to decipher it and they walked through it. They had a TV show on it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. My father loved that shit.
Yeah, so stuff like that.
Sliders
too. No, not Sliders. No. The other one with the military that they went back into.
Stargates.
There you go.
Thank you.
So then
my father loved that show.
So now you look at Stargate, and what if that's how they did transfer and jump from planet to planet throughout, whatever solar systems and whatnot?
Well, because that theory makes a lot of sense. And if you go on the rabbit hole, they show a picture or a slide of different places on the planet where they have those circular things that may have been used for portals. Just saying.
So that, again, like I said, I understand it.
Interesting.
And, we always said we try to stay away from religion and politics. But, just for this, what if that religion that, people are going by now is wrong? And that these Dead Sea Scrolls are really...
Well, I think, I think what's happened... You know what I think? I think people are getting to the point now where they're doing their own thing. Mm-hmm. They're doing their own thing. People are getting to the point where they know what they want and what they want to be. And yeah, people still go to church and everything, but I think it's not like it was.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are starting to believe and they know because there's so much information out there like we're talking about right now. And they find out, hey, well, I was told this, but no, it's really that. Like, okay, well, that person needs to make that decision for themselves, and hopefully they get through it.
Right.
But that's what it's about. So I think it's in this time where actually people are pushing back and saying, no, I don't need to follow that anymore. This is what it means, not that. Like for me, for the Pledge of Allegiance, right? I leave the God out.
Right.
Because I say the original version before it was put in. So I do that. But that's for me.
Right.
That doesn't mean it's right or it's wrong. It just means it's something that, you follow what I'm saying? That's why I'm using that example.
Yeah,
I don't mean to bring it up, but I'm saying that for a reason.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Because,
and I hear that. I get it.
And for me, that's important because it means something and the same for that as well.
Right. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. It's going to be wild when they finally are able to, release, give out, talk about all of them. I mean, I know 900 is a lot, but, to just let us hear more.
There may be some that can't even put together. It's so badly battered.
That's the thing.
Yeah, that are so badly weathered and everything, they just fell apart if they even touched them. Like, I'm sure there's scrolls that they have where they can't even unroll them. They're afraid to even touch it.
Yeah.
Like, we just got to leave it. And then maybe they use a machine or somehow to kind of x-ray it or view it where they can break it down in pieces visually and then put it on a screen and maybe they could see it that way. I would imagine they have that kind of technology now, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I love about it because they're getting the information. They find out the true history, what was going on there. Oh,
yeah,
that's interesting.
Somebody's inventing that exact thing right now.
If we just had a time machine, though.
Yeah, right. We could just go back and get the real one.
We wouldn't even need that Sea Scrolls. We'll just hang out and see what history as it happened.
What? Yeah, motherfuckers. That's great.
That was a good one. I like it, man. It was a good topic.
That's our geeky stuff.
Never go wrong with the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah. No, definitely not.
I know I'm a geeky guy. I apologize, but
no.
I wish it was copyrighted because I would love to end this episode.
Yeah, with something
Huey
else.
Lewis in the News back in time.
Oh, yeah.
Back in time.
Yeah.
Going back in time. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Oh, yeah. See?
I'll be back in time.
You guys are hilarious. That's funny. But so with that, appreciate everybody for listening, watching. Love, follow, all that other good stuff. Love, peace, and hair grease.
Live long and prosper.
And go vegan.
Hello.